Hi, I'm Rick Dior, and that was solo number 2 from the Joseph Tompkins French-American Rudimental Solos book, Volume 1. So I'm going to be recording this whole book and probably the other 2 books as well. Like I said in the first video, these are some of my favorite rudimental snare drum solos. And this solo number 2 is one of my favorite of the favorites of all these. It just really flows. It's got a funky feel. It swings. So this is a really good one if you play drum set. It's got a really nice 6/8 kind of feel, although it's written in 4/4 and everything is in triplets. Now I can't post this on the screen because of copyright reasons, so I definitely suggest you buy the book. I have no stake in this this book or this publishing company, and I don't even know Joe Tompkins, so I just love the book. So the sticks I'm using are these heavy cocobolo rosewood sticks, and I'm using a very large pearl field drum. It's a 16-inch diameter and 16-inch deep drum, a huge drum. I think it lends itself really well to these kinds of solos, which are more or less marching solos with a lot of flair and little idiosyncrasies that make them really fun to play. Using a heavier stick is important if you plan a drum this big. Let me just show you what a lighter stick would sound like. These are my old 1970s original Vic Firth. You see the burnt on Vic Firth logo. I call them bombers, but these were called SD3 Thunder Rock. They still make this, but it has a different tip. I love this tip. But you'll see right away how thin it sounds compared to the heavier sticks. And we'll compare that to the heavier sticks. So I'm sure you could hear the thickness. Also, it makes it a little bit easier to maneuver through these difficult groupings with a little more weight in your hand. So that's the big tip for this etude, is a heavy stick. And these sticks are about 85 grams, something like that. It's a pretty heavy stick. So let's talk through this. First of all, I'm doing it at the written tempo of quarter note equals 70. You can do it faster or slower. That is not an issue. I believe he even writes in his preface to this book that the tempos, can fluctuate. Just make sure you're using a metronome and it stays in time when you're practicing it. It's very easy with these odd groupings to rush or drag. So we'll take this like we did the first solo, line by line, and or 2 lines at a time in a few cases. So the theme of this solo happens right off the bat, where we have this. And that comes back in the last line of the first page, again, parts of it. And it's sort of theme and variations, this whole thing. So make sure when you play those accents that they're not too heavy or too high, because you're going to need to get down really quick to play these 30-second notes. Also, the dynamic marking here is mezzo forte. That's all relative. So you don't need to play too soft. Don't play too loud, because later on at letter C, you have to go to forte, and at the end there, you have to crescendo to a fortissimo. So save it. There's not a lot of dynamics in this solo compared to his other solos. So I'll play these first 2 lines for you. So you see these hairpin crescendos. Don't worry too much about those. It's more of a phrasing thing. You're traveling into the next bar there. So they're little flourishes in a way. So let's go to the to letter A here and play this for you. So you see on the, let's find it here, that fourth line, that figure, the trick to that is tightening up your grip just a little bit. Don't squeeze it in a death grip, but just a little more firm so those accents will speak. Let me play that slower for you at 60. 1, 2. So again, I'm using a little more of a firm grip there. Then we have the difficult fifth line going into the difficult sixth line. These two lines are the hardest lines of this piece. So let me play those for you back up to tempo at 70. 1, 2. Very, very funky there, especially that sixth line. So slowly, that's that line. And then we go to letter B, where we have this ghosting, just like the first solo. So those ghosted notes should be very, very quiet. And then we have this sticking. So there you want to bounce completely. So we'll play that line for you at B. 1, 2. All right, so just make sure you're bouncing those double strokes. And then we come back to the theme, the last line of that page, going into the first line of the second page, which is another difficult thing because the last thing you have is 3 lefts in a row to catch that flam at the top of the second page. 1, 2. So that's extremely syncopated. Let me play you the first line of the second page slowly, and we'll bring that down to 60 again. 1, 2. So a lot of those 30-second notes, I am swinging those. So up to tempo, it sounds like this. 1, 2. Should not be too stiff or too, classical sounding. And then from here on out, the solo gets a little bit simpler. The only thing you got to worry about here is rushing. It's really easy to rush through these accented triplet figures. So I'll play you the second line of the second page all the way to the end. 1, 2. That's a lot of fun. I am changing the last sticking there because I'm playing on this giant field drum. So it's a little bit easier to make those into left flams. So my right hand's doing, and then my left hand's doing. Okay, so that sounds like this. And I'm playing those flams on the closed side. So this is, like I said, a really great solo, especially if you play drum set. You can play like a Nyandigo Afro-Cuban groove and play some of this stuff around the toms. And maybe I'll do that at some point. I'll put some of this stuff on the drum set, which I have done with students over the years. And some of these licks sound great like that. So I hope you enjoyed this second solo in the first Tompkins book. And we'll be back with number 3 soon.